Well, good evening, guys. So I thought I would give my opinions on how good the WWE has been this year and how good some of the matches have been this year and how enjoyable, WWE in general has been this year. So 2024, in my honest opinion, has been a really decent year for the WWE. I think we've had there's been some really great PLEs this year. Obviously, SummerSlam was an absolute cracker, as was WrestleMania 40 rather. Really, really good show. It was good. It was kind of good to see Cody Rhodes finish his story at WrestleMania 40. Obviously, as a match that had kind of been a year in the making. All the storyline stuff with the Bloodline has been really good this year. I really enjoyed the Wyatt Six as well. I think they've been incredible. Obviously, it has been a solid year. I think I think that Triple H has booked superstars really well. It is nice to finally have mid-card titles for the women's division now. Obviously, it's like great to see. To be honest, when I look at women's wrestling these days, it's great to actually see how much love there is for women wrestlers now, like nowadays, and how much love like the fact that you have the women's Royal Rumble now, the women's Money in the Bank. We've got women's mid-card titles now as well. The women's US, the women's Intercontinental Championship. Really, really good to see, and you really love you love to see it. Like you love to see the respect that the women's division is getting, and it's really great. It's been really good. If you think about the way that women wrestlers were used back in the day and how short their matches used to be, but nowadays women wrestlers are getting matches that are decent length. There are quite a lot of wrestlers that have impressed me this year alone. Cody Rhodes is one of them. Kevin Owens, I think, has been fantastic this year. Sami Zayn, been really good this year. Jey Uso and Jey Uso has been, phenomenal this year. It was great to see him in the IC title. Bronson Reed, absolutely incredible this year on Monday Night Raw. Bronson Reed. I mean, I am gutted for him that he'll be out of action now for at least 6 months. He's not expected back until around May or June next year due to him suffering an ankle injury, which he's recently had. But he underwent surgery for that yesterday. The Bloodline are also down, the new Bloodline is also down to a trio as well, because Tom Lower has torn his bicep and will be out for at least 7 to 8 months, which means that he won't be back until around July or August of next year. So obviously a little bit longer out on the sidelines than Bronson Reed. So AJ Styles is expected back on TV early in the new year. Same with Jimmy Uso, who recently broke his toe at Survivor Series War Games. In that War Games match, of course, he will be out of action. He's not expected to be in action for the remainder of the year. It will be early next year that we see him. There are at least 3 female superstars expected back early in the new year as well, these being Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte Flair. Maybe we could see them return at the Royal Rumble. I'm expecting 1 or 2 of them to come back at the Rumble and potentially win it. I hope it's not Charlotte. In terms of other wrestlers that have impressed me this year, CM Punk, has been obviously it's been a difficult year for Punk because obviously he got injured at the start of the year and was out for, several months, which wasn't the best year for him. Obviously, it meant that he had to miss WrestleMania, of course. But obviously, thankfully, he looks like he won't be missing WrestleMania next year. Obviously, it looks like we might be getting the Seth Rollins versus CM Punk WrestleMania next year. That would be good if we get that. I'll be interested to see who faces Cody Rhodes for the WWE title at Mania. I'm expecting it to be somebody like Randy Orton. I really feel like we could bet that. I think it would be cool to see Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton match for the title, maybe even John Cena. Maybe even John Cena gets an opportunity for his 17th world title. To be honest, I don't think as a wrestling fan, I don't think I'm really ready for John Cena to retire. Like, I can't imagine how emotional the fans are gonna be after his final match. Like, people, there's gonna be so much emotion there. By this time next year, obviously John Cena wrestling his final match. It'll be really interesting to see who his final opponent is. I hope it's someone decent at that spot. Um, I hope they don't do it her angle, do what they did with her angle, and actually, put that match, give that match to someone who doesn't deserve it, aka Baron Corbin. I'll never understand why Vince McMahon thought it would be a good idea to have Baron Corbin win that match against her angle. Like that's booking in itself that doesn't make any sense, and that has never made any sense. It felt like it should have been her and John Cena because John Cena was obviously her and her and I think was John Cena's first opponent when he made his debut in 2002. So it should have been John versus her angle. It felt like that's what it should have been, and I think her angle wanted it to be John Cena, but Vince McMahon wasn't so keen on that idea and decided it would be her angle versus Baron Corbin, and decided that, of course, Baron Corbin was going to win it. I mean, there's a lot of, stupid things that Vince McMahon did when he was in charge of WWE. Like, one of the issues I always had with him was him calling up NXT, wrestlers from NXT and then not doing anything with them. For example, Heath Lee. He called Heath Lee up in, I think it was 2020, and he never did anything with him. Same with the likes of Harriet Cross. Harriet Cross was hauled up, didn't do anything with him. He hauled EC3 up to the main roster, and again didn't do anything with him. It's like all these, hauled Lars Sullivan up, that didn't amount to anything. There have been obviously hauled Sanity up. They didn't do anything on the main when they came up to the main roster. So, there's a running fit. That was like a running theme with Vince McMahon, was he had that bad habit of hauling NXT stars up and then not doing anything with them and just immediately putting the plug on. He obviously had no faith in them. It's like, why did he haul these superstars up when he obviously had no plans for them and had no idea of how to use them, or had no intention of giving them the push that they really deserved? Because Heath Lee was somebody who, had he been used correctly, and had Vince McMahon given him the opportunity, he could have been a really big star on the main roster, because he was doing incredibly well in NXT around the time he got hauled up. And he could have been incredible on the main roster had he been given the opportunity to do that, but he was never given the opportunity to shine in a way that he could have shined. When I think about it, I think, had Heath Lee been hauled up to the main roster around this time, at the time where Triple H is running the show, he would have stood a much better chance of succeeding in WWE. Same with Harriet Cross, same with Lars Sullivan, same with Sanity. There are so many superstars who I think, had they been hauled up during the Triple H era, they would have fared much better on the main roster. It's just one of those things, it's like, and obviously the thing that I love about Triple H is he's willing to do, I love the fact that he's willing to give wrestlers a fair chance. He doesn't just give up on wrestlers and immediately pull the plug on them. We've seen so many wrestlers who, under Triple H's regime and under Triple H's management and guidance, they've really been allowed to blossom, they've really been allowed to shine and show what they can really do. Superstars like Chelsea Green, have been really good this year. Well, she's been really good this year. I think Piper Niven would be really good as a singles wrestler. I think she's shown that she's more than capable of being a singles wrestler and really, more than capable of succeeding in that role as a singles competitor. The New Day have looked really good. Well, I say they've looked really good this year, but they haven't looked too bad. some of the matches we've had on the PLEs this year have been incredible. I mean, I love the booking at SummerSlam. Nia winning the women's title, that was, really good to see. I mean, Nia Jax herself, right? Oh my god. She is so good. For me, I think, it's incredible turnaround of Nia Jax. I mean, you think about it, right? Only a few years ago, Nia Jax was the most criticized wrestler in WWE. I don't think there was ever a time where Nia Jax wasn't criticized for something. She was very, very heavily criticized. But now, since she's returned to her return to WWE last year, she has looked incredibly good. And again, I think that's down to to Triple H, because he's really done well with Nia. He's given Nia the push that she deserves. He's given her that title run, and she's looked really good since winning the Women's World title. She even looked, she looked good even before she won the Women's title. Nia Jax, the transformation in of her alone has just been superb. She's so much. I feel like she's so much better in the ring now than she was, a few years ago. There's no doubt about that. I don't think there's anybody who disagree with the fact that Nia hasn't improved in the ring, but she really has improved. We've seen it. I feel like we've seen a huge improvement for Nia Jax in WWE. Really huge improvement. So let's talk about this upcoming match with Carmelo Hayes. So, Nick Aldis has set up a match for Carmelo Hayes with a new superstar. Now, my thinking, and I think a lot of people are probably predicting this, I'm thinking it's Pentagon. That's who I'm thinking it could be. I'm thinking it's Pentagon. I imagine it could be him. It feels like, it could be him at least. I'd be very shocked if it wasn't Pentagon, because I feel like it could be him. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see next week who it is. But Pentagon, I think, feels like the most likely possibility at the moment. I mean, if there was a wrestler I'd want to see return next year, I'd say Matt Cardona. I'd love to see Matt Cardona back in WWE. I'd love to see the Hardy Boys making some appearances in WWE as well. I think next year, 2025, is the year that the Hardy Boys should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now's a better time than ever for WWE to do that. If they should, that's what they should think about doing. Don't worry about inducting Matt or Jeff individually. Induct them as a duo. Induct them as the Hardy Boys. Give them, it's time for the WWE to give the Hardy Boys that Hall of Fame induction that they really deserve. Same with superstars like The Rock, they deserve to go in. John Cena deserves to go in. I don't expect John Cena to be going into the Hall of Fame next year. I'm expecting him to go into the Hall of Fame in 2026, possibly. Bray Wyatt is a name I think could be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame next year, either as a solo act or with the Wyatt as a part of the Wyatt family. I think he could be inducted. And I think that would be, obviously, if they were to induct the Wyatt family as a team, it would be a great way for WWE to not only pay tribute to Bray Wyatt, but to also pay tribute to Luke Harper as well, and that's why I'm saying that I think, I'd like to see him go in with the Wyatt family rather go in on his own, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying that Bray should go in on his own, but I think he should be inducted as a part of the Wyatt family. It's about time that, the Wyatt family also take their, rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame, because of the impact that they had in WWE was huge. It was a huge impact, I think people have been hauling it for most of the year, that Bray Wyatt has to be inducted. I think there are probably a few people who were a little bit disappointed that Bray wasn't inducted this year, but I think we all know why. We'll have a bigger picture now of why he wasn't inducted this year and why that might have been. Because obviously not only did they induct his father and obviously his grandfather into the Hall of Fame this year, but they also did the Wyatt family, the Bray Wyatt documentary as well. So they may have thought it would be a little bit much to do, to be inducting them, have the documentary come out and have Bray inducted all in the same year. So they probably thought, well, we'll do we'll do Barry Windham and IRS this year, and Mike Rotunda this year, and then next year we'll think, we'll do, Bray will induct Bray Wyatt, which is what I'm thinking they'll do. I'm thinking they will induct Bray Wyatt next year into the, to the Hall of Fame next year. That's my guess anyway. I would hazard a guess and say that one of the Hall of Fame inductees for 2025 will indeed be Bray Wyatt, and I'd be very surprised if he wasn't. So in terms of other wrestling, that's one of my favourite moments this year. Hardy winning the title a little bit, like the undisputed title of WrestleMania, finishing his story. Nia winning the world title, women's title. Gunther winning the World Heavyweight Championship. I think he really deserved that. It was great to see him finally win that. Obviously, he lost it. It's funny how he started the year as the Intercontinental Champion, like a mid-card champion. But he's ending the year as the World Heavyweight Champion. And I think that's not a bad year to go into the year as a mid-card champion, like the Intercontinental Champion. And then end the year as the World Heavyweight Champion. What a year it's been for him. Gunther, ever since he came up to the main roster, I said that he had the makings of a future world champion. And I think I'll go as far as to say that for Bronson Reed as well. Like, maybe some people don't think this, but I do think that Bronson Reed, once he retires from injury, I think that he will get a title run. Whether that be an IC title run, as I don't see him winning either the WWE Undisputed Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship next year, but I could see him having a run with either the Intercontinental Championship or United States Championship. I think probably an Intercontinental Championship run would be more likely for him. I think it would be huge, either way, even if he did win that. It was great to see LA Knight win the US title, and then obviously Shinsuke's won it. Like, Shinsuke, since they brought him back the other week, he looks really good. I like this new character and this new gimmick or they've got going on with Shinsuke. He looks really good, especially with the face paint and everything. He just looks he looks kind of cool, I will say that, and some of the tag teams I think I've been impressed with as the Judgment Day. They've looked really good this year. Dom Mysterio has not been too bad this year. Good to see Raquel Rodriguez return at Bad Blood. Although that was a little bit of a botched return. It's been a good year for the WWE, and they've got a lot to be proud of this year. Need I say it? I think Triple H, can really be proud of how good 2024 has been for WWE. I think it was going to be very hard for WWE for this year to kind of match up to how big a year 2023 was. 2023 was, it was a sad year because we lost a legend, and icon that is Bray Wyatt, but it was also an amazing year because we had some returns that we never thought we'd see, aka CM Punk returning at Survivor Series War Games. And I honestly didn't think Survivor Series War Games this year was going to top that, and in a way it kind of didn't. For me, I don't think it topped Survivor Series War Games 2023. I think it was still good though. I'm all saying that Survivor Series War Games was a crap pay-per-view. I think it was pretty good. I think the War Games matches, the men's war, there were quite a few botches, disappointingly. But, as they say, wrestlers are only humans. And they will make mistakes from time to time. And sometimes the mistakes have a huge impact on them and really ruin things for them, but they don't always do that. But I personally do wish all of those, all of my fellow wrestling fans out there a very Merry Christmas. And I wish everyone at WWE and AEW a very Merry Christmas as well. Obviously, I think another one feud I've really enjoyed this year, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. That feud has been fire. The best feud we've seen in the past few years. When I think of Triple H, for me, I think he's really brought that love of wrestling back for me. Like, I think, around the time that Vince McMahon was running Vince, I'd really started to lose that love for the WWE. Like, I'd started to lose interest. It just felt like Raw and SmackDown weren't that great. The PLE, like the premium live events, they weren't that good. Apart from WrestleMania 38, of course, which was, a pretty decent show altogether, obviously, with Steve Austin and Cody Rhodes returning, obviously, at the show. But, Cody Rhodes wasn't that big a deal. I kind of knew that before, knew that was happening beforehand. So, the surprise element wasn't really there. But, it's I think for me the worst time for wrestling for the WWE as a whole was around about like 2019, 2020. Like, some of the shit we saw around that time was just, it was bizarre, it was questionable, it was ridiculous, it was horrendous, and it made me lose that love for wrestling. I was just like, I was watching the episodes of Raw and SmackDown in 2019 or 2020, and I was thinking, like, what the hell are we actually seeing? Like, what the hell is Vince McMahon doing? Some of the things we saw, like, Shorty G and flipping Heath, but, repackaging Heath Lee, like, okay, since when did that ever make sense? Repackaging Piper Niven as Dewdrop. No, didn't work. I mean, she made it work, but I didn't like that. But she should have stayed as Piper Niven. They should never have repackaged Pete Dunne to Butch. I understand why they went down that route, but it's still, for me, I preferred him as Pete Dunne. I'm glad he's gone back to being known as Pete Dunne now, because I think he looks better as Pete Dunne than Butch. I think Pete Dunne always sounds better than Butch. Ridge Holland on NXT. I mean, again, NXT this year. Wow. The talent on NXT is incredible, both in the women's division and men's division. Oh my god. The one wrestler I love on NXT right now is Oba Femi. I think Oba Femi is just huge. Like, he's so good. Trick Williams, phenomenal. Wesley, really, really good. The women's division on NXT, phenomenal. Ridge Holland even looks really good on NXT, to be fair. It's been, we saw Sean Spears returning on NXT earlier on in the year as well, so Sean Spears is back with WWE. That was a big return. We had Andrade returning to WWE as well this year. We've had a few other, big returns, haven't we? Obviously we had, those were like the two big, returns for the year. Obviously John Cena returning at Money in the Bank to announce his retirement. We had the big return of the OTC at WrestleMania at SummerSlam. We had the big return of Paul Heyman on the Survivor Series before War Day, on the SmackDown before War Games. Wow. What a year it's been. And what a year 2025 will be for WWE. I myself as a wrestling fan am very excited for what we could see in 2025, for all the big moments we could see. But here's to what has been a truly remarkable year for WWE, and well done for Triple H on the booking of some of the PLEs this year. Absolutely superb. I don't think there's been a truly awful PLE this year. I think all of them have been really good in their own way. I don't even think Bash in Berlin was that bad. I think Bash in Berlin was pretty good. Tell you what, what pay-per-view I did think was good. Backlash in Paris. The audience at that show was just unbelievable. The best audience I've ever, the best crowd I've ever seen. My god, they were on fire that night. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. So yeah, obviously I've really enjoyed WWE this year. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, my thoughts on WWE and wrestling as a whole this year. Don't even get me started on AEW. But yeah, great year for WWE. I hope you enjoy this video. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.